Spit to the beat. Podcast. It's all about inside the music industry.
Nobody do it better. And welcome to Spit to the Beat podcast. I'm your host, Stacy, aka Be Unstoppable Prayer. We are live in the studio on Facebook at Stacy Be Unstoppable Prayer or Stacy Spit to the Beat Prayer. You can definitely go on my YouTube channel right now, subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. I really would appreciate it. And that's Stacy Spit to the Beat on YouTube. We are live and in full effect. I am so super excited today. I got a legend in the building with me today, and I just can't wait to bring her on. But before I bring her on, I definitely want to thank my sponsors, all those who have donated to this podcast, who have made it possible for me to continue to do these shows, these episodes each and every day, and to bring you the most updated content in the music and entertainment industry. Thank you so much for your support. And let me give a special shout out to Sanders Cater Facility. Mr. Sanders has been a tremendous donator of this podcast. I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much. And y'all continue to listen to the podcast, share it with your friends, family. We're on all social media platforms, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and all platforms wherever you get your podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And again, today, my very special guest, I'm going to bring on right now, Miss Toni Green. I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Memphis and around the world.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great to be here. I mean, it's a blessing.
Good, good. Tell my audience, those who may not know you, a little bit about yourself, your history a little bit.
Well, where do you want me to start?
Start with growing up.
Growing up, I grew up from the big area of South Memphis. I'm a South Memphis native of Memphis, down in the dirty South, as they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I came up around some of the greatest musicians and singers in the world. There were the Barkays. I was surrounded by them. The Mad Lads, surrounded by those people. The Temprees, the newcomers, Carla Thomas, Al Green came in at High Studios where I recorded as a kid. And with the great Willie Mitchell, my first CD was done with him. It's so much to say.
Yeah.
But I came from Southside High School.
Okay.
Lincoln Junior High. And all of my other friends went to Booker T. Washington and Carver and all of that. So I came up around the greatest of all greats. You know, they were right there in my neighborhood.
Your father was the musician in the home at the time you was growing up, and I was reading that he was the more like into jazz, right?
He was a jazz musician. He was actually, my father's voice was so silky smooth, like his tones were like Nat King Cole.
Wow.
So he had that real smooth jazz thing. So I'm actually a jazz singer. I grew up singing jazz before anything.
That's right. I was going to get into like, how did you go from the jazz to the blues? What influenced you to make that
Oh my
transition?
goodness. Well, see, on one side of the street was gospel.
Okay.
The other side was R&B. So I could run back and forth
Hold up, you talking about in your neighborhood?
in my neighborhood.
Okay.
So I lived on Trigg in Florida at that time. So
Uh-huh.
across the street was the gospel group, and then on my side of the street where I lived at, they were like my grandmothers were sisters, you know. So that was going on all the time, and they were like singing doo-wop, you know, without musical instruments.
Mhm.
And when they did get something, and it was like the guitar, like the brass guitars and the old-fashioned keyboards, but also was the doo-wop, which was without music. So a cappella is how I grew up to sing. And then my dad was a jazz singer.
Okay.
So I had a little bit of influence of everything, but I was a rebel. And being a rebel, I liked when I heard Aretha Franklin, I lost my mind
Did you?
because I wanted to do that. So actually, it was almost like I was going against the grain.
Hmm. So they wasn't forcing you to stay in the jazz, but when you heard Aretha,
No,
it
not
just took
really.
you.
They never influenced me to do anything, but it was like I was coming out of the realm to do something else.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, I got my first whipping for buying an Aretha Franklin CD, which I told her about that later on. I went to wash dishes for this lady in the community,
Uh-huh.
and at that time, CDs or LPs were
Right.
$3.57.
Okay.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, we were poor. And my mother was looking for me all day long. But I'm in there. This lady had me bent over like a slave. I didn't only wash dishes. I cleaned all the walls, all the shelves. I'm going like, whatever. I'm saying to myself, this lady got me doing more than she said for this $3 and some cent, when she only gave me $4,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But I knew I had just enough to buy that CD, which was Aretha Franklin. And my mother was looking for me all day long. So when she did get me, I got the spanking of my life. But I told her that I bought the CD of the album
Hmm.
LP, and when I did, she was not happy about it. And but later on, she teased me about it. She said, "Girl, we needed that money." I said, "Well, I know we did." She said, "But baby, I love you because
Yeah.
my mother became my biggest fan."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how making that well, I ain't gonna say transition, but just accepting the type of music that you really wanted to sing after you hear Aretha Franklin. You did a lot of before then, you did a lot of backup singing for a lot of artists. Uh Isaac Hayes, so many other that you backed up. You started that way. So how was that part
Well,
of your life?
actually, you're half and halfway correct.
Okay.
Actually, I had my own group. My own groups consisted of my cousin, who was Everett Hambrick, Leroy Broadnax, and Pat Love.
Hmm.
And then my brother. See, my mother, back then, you remember, they always had things in the backyard.
Right, right.
And it was always any kind of parties going on. Then if you were the singer, either people joined alone or they came along. I mean, it was just a community thing. So we were always commissioned to do something. So we eventually formed a group, which Everett Hambrick was my cousin, which was one of the best singers in the world. He passed on in the early 90s, but he was the one that really influenced me to really sing. He and John Gary Williams of the Mad Lads. So I had no other alternative but to sing with them. And I was like lead vocal most of the time. And then when Isaac Hayes saw us,
Hmm.
he wanted us to come along with him.
Okay.
But you have to remember, we had already recorded our first song, our first CD, our first record was done with the great Willie Mitchell.
Okay.
So he recorded my first song, which is "Boy, What Have You Done to My Heart, My World," and which went on to do some good things.
How old were you at the time when you
I
did
was
that?
like 12 or 13.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And to hear me sing that song now is just really okay. But that was, my musicians were Teenie Hodges,
Hmm.
Leroy Hodges, Charles Hodges, I had Howard Grimes. I had all the best musicians always around me.
Yeah.
So you have to remember, they taught me, they made me sing correctly. Marvell Thomas, he was a diction perfectionist because he wanted to hear the words whenever I sang.
They forgot that you was 12 or 13 at the time, right?
Well, they did, but I had this old spirit.
Okay.
And I was very tough because I was not, it was not going to be hard to get, it was not going to be easy to get to me. You couldn't get inside of me, still can't,
Okay.
because I still have that thing of that mother wit sense. I'm older than what I really am.
Like you say, you got an old soul.
Old soul.
Yeah.
So I was always stubborn to do, and I knew what I wanted. So I designed all of our clothes, the steps, the music, everything I chose because I had a vision in my head and in my heart to do something. So I'm jumping all around this to bring you back to the core of what you asked me. And that is, and going from gospel to blues to now R&B and jazz. My mother was in gospel more so than anything. So mom wanted me to sing gospel too.
Yeah.
So I had everybody pulling at me. So I had to make up some of my mind to do what I wanted to do. Okay.
Wow. That's an amazing story. Just in itself, from that time of 12, 13 years old.
Oh, yeah.
They're deciding what you wanted to do. We'll take a short break and we'll come back and we'll talk about your international travels.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You're listening to Spit to the Beat podcast with your host, the one, the only Stacy B. Unstoppable Per Year.
Hey, this is Stacy, aka Beat Unstoppable Per Year with Spit to the Beat podcast. Would you like to be my guest if you're a singer, songwriter, musician, producer, or promoter? Give me a call at 901-341-6777 or email me at myguest@spittothebeat.com. And welcome back to Spit to the Beat podcast. I'm your host, Stacy, aka Be Unstoppable Per Year. We are live in the studio, and I'm joined with my very special guest, Miss Toni Green, the legendary singer. She already dropping the jewels. And just to let you know that my podcast is all about educating in the music and entertainment industries, and she is definitely giving us a history lesson. So we're definitely gonna tap in some more with her right now as we talk a little bit about your international traveler and how did we talked earlier, you said how you had to go abroad to be recognized, to be accepted before you came back to the United States.
Well, to be honest and just right, I won't say real, but just right with you. I had in the 5th grade, our teachers asked all of us what was our aspirations, what did we want to do. And when it became my time, I said I wanted to be an international recording artist. I wanted to travel all over the world. So my classmates all laughed at me. They remind me of this right now, some of the ones who are still here. And they tell me, yeah, Toni Green, yeah, you said you're going to be, and I see what you're doing right now. Let me get a little chance with you. No, it ain't going to happen.
All right.
You didn't like me back then. You can't like me now.
There you go. Right.
But it's just something that was in me. I just wanted to do more. So when the music came to me, and I remember coming back to Memphis, and it was really, really hard. My father had gotten sick, and I needed to come. I had moved to Louisville, Kentucky from Memphis, because it was just like everybody wanted to be a singer, and everybody wanted to be on Bill Street. Everybody wanted to be in the clubs. So when I came back to Memphis, the doors were not open for me. Okay. And it was really hard. And these were like my people that I grew up with. And I'm like, I'm hurt. I'm shocked that I couldn't get in. And these are the people that I welcomed to my stage.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let me in. And I'm going like, okay, now what do I do now? So God gave me a vision at that time, to get a recording deal. But he didn't want me to just get it with anybody. So he gave me the exact person to get it with. So I did. So from that point, people had heard about who I was when they would come to Memphis from overseas. But the basics of the people who were still doing something, and I get it. You're gonna hold on to your role as long as you can, if you can. So I wasn't able to get in, but the doors opened for me, and I went overseas. And when I went overseas, I made so low in money until, believe you me, you couldn't even buy toothpaste with it. Okay.
Wow.
But I took a chance on doing something in order to build something to where I am now. Okay.
Hmm.
So I worked my behind off to make sure that I was not going to be forgettable. So from that particular time in 2005 or 6, I've been rolling. I hold my own ground. I have my own band, my own group. This is my second CD from International Value. And I'm just excited that they still receive me. And I hope that I have set precedents for the other ones who want to go there, will aspire to do greater than me
Yeah.
when they do go there. So,
Where has been some of the places, the locations have you been?
oh, wow, I have been to Algeria, which was such a phenomenal place to be because it's of our culture.
Hmm.
I have been to Algeria. I've been to Spain. I just made my wow, it was so great this past year. This year, I was in Milan, Italy, which was at the Blue Note, and
Mm.
it's hard to get into the Blue Note. I have ventured to Paris, France, many, many, many times. I
Mhm.
even lived there, and living in Paris, France, I was at New Morning, which was encompasses all the great jazz, blues, R&B, rap, everybody who's ever been big. But I've been there, and God has blessed me to headline my own
Yeah.
shows. I've been in some of the biggest arenas in the whole wide world, like the Roman amphitheater where they were killing the lions and the
Hmm.
gladiators and stuff
In Rome.
in Rome.
Yeah.
And I've been there looking out and going like, oh my goodness. And I've been in Greece
This this little black girl
from South
all over,
Memphis.
yeah, from
Yes,
South Memphis, all the
yes.
way up across the waters. Wow.
And the greatest thing is they understand your music
Yes, they do. They do. They
and they
do.
know your catalog better than the people here. They
Hmm.
might not, they don't speak our language, but they know our music and they know the lyrics to the songs.
They study us.
They
Yes.
they knew who my mama was. I'm serious.
I believe it.
My
Yeah.
my daddy, my mommy, my everybody.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they know who my sister is. Is Tracy coming? We want to see Tricia. They love her.
Yeah.
Because Tracy is my right hand. That's my baby sister.
That threw you for a culture shock, did it? When they
Oh,
start asking them
I'm
questions like,
telling you, I'm like really, really shocked that they knew so much. But this has been going on since 2005,
Mhm.
and he keeps on blessing me. So, but let me tell you, Stacy, when the doors here were closed on me, it was so hard for me because I wanted to be accepted by my own people here.
Yes.
So the other night when that happened to me, I actually wept. I did because I didn't think that they really liked me here.
Oh,
So when I got in my car, I just pulled over to the side after I left the building, and I wept because the people's response
yeah.
was
So
so
overwhelmed.
overwhelming.
Yes.
And to hear them, calling out my name and knew who I was, and I'm going like, "Thank you, God. My living has not been in vain,
Yes.
and my doings and my work is showing
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah.
I get it over there. I get standing
Easily.
ovations, 3 and 4 times per my shows. They know who I am.
But there's nothing like your own to
It's
accept you.
nothing like your own.
Yeah.
And you just want to be, don't you want to be
To
embraced?
know you. Yes.
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 You
Yeah.
want
Want to be
somebody
loved.
you don't want, I'm not cocky. I don't want them to, just, oh, Miss Toni Green. I don't want you to worship me. But sometimes in my heart of hearts, I'd like to be accepted on programs and situations and things. But God said to me, if this is not where I want you to be, then you don't do it
Mhm.
because you either have to choose, is that where you want to be, or do you choose what I have for you?
Yeah.
So I chose God. Okay. So sometime in choosing God, it's a hard journey. It's a hard journey.
Right. Right.
You know,
Takes you in different directions.
a whole, and it might not be what you want. You know, for every door that's been shut on me, I promise you, God opens up doors. When I can't pay my rent, telephone bill, I get a call from Juba from overseas telling me I got shows, or something will come about because I chose God. It's not going to be an easy road when you travel when you choose God, and I chose Him.
And that's a good segue to my next question from you, to education point. What you would tell artists that are trying to come up, get their foot in the door, either locally in the United States or abroad, how to stay the course?
It's not an easy job. To give you a quick scenario, I went to a show once, and the doors were, I mean, I'm standing up there with all platinum on. You can't miss me because I'm almost 6 feet. I'm 5'7.5 feet. And all of these people on stage, I knew them, and they did not acknowledge me, not one time.
Wow.
I felt some kind of way, and I left there, and I called my best friend, Lucille Catron, who owns the Daisy down on Bill Street, and she and I are just very good friends. And I wept, and she said, "Baby, it's gonna be okay." But God came in, and He said, "Do you want what they have for you?" That's why I got that little scenario. Do you want what they have for you, Toni, or do you want what I have? Well, me being like everybody else,
Go ahead.
I still was going to be in that zone of the humanistic thing where, Lord, but, I kind of thought that they would just like me a little. And so I didn't hear no more from God until He came back that Tuesday, because that was on a Saturday. He came back that Tuesday and said, "Go back." I went back the next time. I had on all this other colors and stuff, and they still didn't acknowledge me. The Lord came to me again. This is a true story, just like you
Go
and I
ahead,
talking.
Tell it.
And He said, "Now, do you want what I have for you, or do you want what they have for you?" This time, I was smart enough to say to the Lord,
Right.
"I want whatever you have for me, God.
Yeah.
Whatever you have lined up for me." Now, when I did that, then I felt my wings.
Wow.
The wind
Yeah.
come up under my wings. I felt lifted up 1,000 tons or whatever was dropped off of me. He sent me back the third time. I didn't care if they called my name or not. See, I had to get boldly in Christ before they could understand what He had in me. See, He had to condition me and said, "Don't worry if they don't call your name. Don't worry if you ain't on the stage. If I wanted you to be there, you'd be there.
Right.
If I want them to call your name, you would.
Right.
I got another journey, another path for you to travel now. You need to understand who I am." So when I did that, God came in and He got me. In the same breath, I had gone to another prominent radio station. They had blackballed me because I was friends with another radio jock and whatever. And they didn't want me on that station. That same day, Algeria called and said, "I want you here."
Flew you over.
Flew me over.
Yes.
And the monies that I made was triple the amount of money that anybody that was on this
took care of all your expenses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got that money. Ha, China.
Go ahead.
Ooh,
Go
Jesus,
ahead.
what you said.
Go ahead.
I got that going to Algeria. When I got over there, was such a spiritual place because Algeria is our home.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the birth of where the Christians and the Muslims had the war, the Great War. The spiritual thing that was there was unbelievable. It was so thick.
Yeah.
I'd never been there in my life, but they were calling out and shouting my name. They knew who I was. But I'm just saying, they didn't want to play me on that particular station. But God put me at number 14 all over the world on the greatest radio station in the whole entire universe. That is the BBC. Don't play with me. Okay.
Yeah.
Won't He do it?
He will. He will.
So He took me from this that was only playing maybe 50, 60,000 watts to all over the world. You hear me?
You know, you speaking to me too.
Hey,
Okay.
I'm trying to.
Okay.
And he let me know, don't you worry
Yeah.
about what they say and what they think about you.
Yeah.
Step out into your zone. Be you, who you gonna be. You know, if I've never been a cocky person or a diva, because that's just not my stance. I don't run like that.
But you're very confident.
But I hold my presence
Yes.
in the Lord. I don't hold my presence in me. I hold my presence in what He's given me. So I ain't worried about what you think about me.
Yeah.
Be a man, woman, dog, or cat. See, you don't bother me.
Yeah.
When I walk in with but I didn't always have it. Every now and then, my spirit has been almost broken all the way down from what I had a boyfriend or a friend girl
Mhm.
or even family. But I never got so far down that God wasn't right there to pull me right back up and get me back on track.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's amazing within itself. Let me take another short break. We'll come back. I want to talk a little bit about your first LP you did in 1998, Mixed Emotions.
Okay.
Okay, cool. We're gonna talk about that in a second.
Thank you.
And welcome back to Spit to the Beat podcast. I'm your host, Stacy, aka Be Unstoppable Prayer. And I'm joined in the studio with my very special guest, Miss Toni Green. And she has, I'm sure you all that are out there listening right now live, definitely getting a wealth of information about the music industry and personally about her life and her testimonies and her walk with God. I would say she's ministering to me as well in the situation that I am. So I know that God is good and you
Yes.
stay on his side and with him, he'll take you beyond that no man can ever
Oh,
imagine
Come on now.
it can take you.
Come on now.
So I want to thank her for being in the studio with me. And we're going to talk a little bit more now. We're going to talk a little bit about her first LP you did in 1998, Mixed Emotion. How did that project come about and what did it take to make it happen?
The project was a little bit about what I had started telling you about when I came back to Memphis from Louisville, Kentucky. And I knew everybody, and I couldn't, the avenues were not open for me to perform. Everybody kind of closed and wouldn't let me in, and it
Mhm.
was just closed doors on me. So the Lord came to me and spoke to me about going to get a deal. So I got a deal with a gentleman by the name of Quentin Clunch, who was with Gold Wax Records. And God directed me to him because he had James Carr at the time. He had James Carr, and he had done some great things overseas and all over the world with his label Gold Wax. And he talked to me about going there. But as being with Gold Wax, I read the book of This Law of Business.
Okay.
He had it in his library, and I asked if I could read it. And he allowed me to read it. But I read it. But Quinn was very prolific in talking with Willie Mitchell, which, mind you, this was going to be my second journey with Willie Mitchell because I recorded with him when I was 12 or 13
Yes.
years old. So he automatically knew me. And at the time, William, with the mad last, I can't even think of his last name. He's going to get me. Well, he's passed on now. But he was one of the producers there. And so we came up with this Mixed Emotion CD, which I wrote most of the songs on there. And Quinn Clutch was the producer. So that was like the entrance to the blues segment of my life.
Okay, that's where it came in at. Okay.
And I wasn't too familiar with the blues. Just to tell you the truth, I didn't like the blues. I ain't gonna tell you a story. I did not like I didn't feel like it fit me. But I was smart enough to know sometimes you got to touch upon things to get to some things.
Mhm.
So I did that, and still didn't get much work because you have to remember I'm a R&B, jazz, blues, gospel, opera. I have to tell you
Wow.
about that part of my life, the
Oh,
operatic thing, and having the scholarship to go to sing opera because I have 7 octaves. And I was so they didn't know what to do with me down here in the dirty South.
yes. Yeah.
So I'm trying to approach the blues the best that I know in my ear and my thought pattern. Even in between there, before I got there, was Gene Bolex Miller, who had also recorded me. I forgot all about that. He had
Mhm.
recorded me, as people Bryson reminded me Saturday about that. Uh, I had all of these great things that happened for me, but it just wasn't time
Yeah. Yeah.
to do. But so the mixed
Did you feel that you like ahead of your time?
I know I was.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
still feel like I'm ahead of my time.
Yeah.
But I had to learn to embrace it and don't worry about it now. But I guess it almost comes, and I'm almost 1,000 years old, and it gives me the opportunity to still tell somebody young, don't be afraid to embrace who you are.
Mm.
Don't be afraid if you have different guitar licks, if you have a different drum beat, if you have different vocals, don't be afraid. Just jump into it. I was always ahead of my time,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and I like that. That's why even having a boyfriend, he has to understand who I am.
That's right.
He has to understand
Yeah.
I'm ahead of my hey, you get with here, you got to understand.
Right. You get with this program. You
Yeah,
got to come on.
come on.
There you go.
Catch up or be left out.
right.
I'm just making y'all laugh. Okay. But the point that I'm making is that the Mixed Emotion album was the one that set a precedence for me to be and to do what I'm doing now.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. That's awesome. Look, what do you think about these? We're gonna touch a little bit on the opera. I'm gonna come back to that. What do you think about the new Southern blues that's out now? It's like blues has taken not another direction, but another title to it. What do you think about that? You hear the songs on the radio.
Southern soul music, believe it or not, I'm going to make you laugh. I started that, don't you?
Oh, did you?
I did. I have a song called Southern Soul Music. If you go back and look at one of my CDs, you'll see Southern Soul Music is what I started. But I never felt it, honestly.
Mhm.
So to just tell you now, I can't feel it. I mean,
Just being
I'm
honest.
just being honest.
Yes.
I love the artists, whoever you may be. Don't get offended. I love every last one of you. But I need to hear something that makes me want to just think about it later that night, that make me want to come to your concerts, that make me want to spend the 60 and 50 and 30 and $100, whatever,
Mm.
that makes me want to really get into you. The emulating is getting to be a little taxing for me. Okay, I'm probably gonna get really thrown some rocks at, but who cares?
Mhm.
The point that I will make: keep on being you, but get back to the basics of where your soul is.
Yes.
See, because can't nobody take from your soul what God has placed in there. If Southern soul music is it, dig in a little deeper and make it something that people can remember you by. I don't want to be a novelist.
Mhm.
I don't want to just have something called, my booty was shaking and or whatever, and it dropped on the floor. I don't want to do that because I have grandkids and I have kids who will think about me later on.
Yeah.
And I think every artist should always remember this is going to follow you for all of your days. This is a catalog. So I think that when they realize you're putting your stamp on this thing, just be careful.
Yes. Yes.
Am I making sense?
You're making a whole lot of sense. Whole lot of sense. Now let's jump back right where I talked about the opera.
Okay.
Let's go into that. You say you got 7 octaves. So how the opera come in?
The opera was, I had a teacher by the name of Charlotte Pope, who was at Carver High School and then Southside. And every year we would go to participate in the Northwest and the Southwest, chorus. To be able to get in that, your voice had to be whatever. You had to sing a cappella or with accompanist. And at that time, a lot of people who were Anglo-Saxon weren't really receiving us as much. But she pushed for us at that particular time for the blacks to really get in there and really show that we do have the credentials to be able to sing. With that, scholarships were given as well as recognition, acknowledgement. And I was given the opportunity because I had this little first soprano that was going on, really first soprano.
Okay.
And I honed it because every day I would practice. So and honing it, naturally my octaves became stronger and I went up to the octaves, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or whatever. Uh, on a good day when I'm rested, I can do it now because I'm so much older. But it came, and I had a scholarship to go to Louisville. I mean, what is Lamont College?
Lamont on college.
But I wanted to be the hard head one and go with Isaac Hayes. So
Mm.
that kind of deterred me from doing what would have probably I wouldn't say that I would be like Leontine Price,
Mhm.
or any of the other greats, but I will say that I'd probably hung in there and did it if I wanted to. But it gave me an insight on dictionality and even critiquing the vocals that are out there now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. You're definitely going to be a great teacher once you decide to settle down and teach music.
I'd love
For
to.
sure.
I'd love to embrace when I hear other singers. I have to be careful because I'm still in that mode of what I hear,
Mhm.
and my ears can bend. My ears will bend quickly, but I try not to be so critical of anybody, and unless they come and say, "Miss Toni, I want you to teach me." If you're in my class and I'm teaching you, then that's when I critique you,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to go to a show and go like, oh, he just sang the wrong note, or she was the wrong note, or she didn't have I don't do that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because I'm supportive.
That's great. What was your final question? You wanted to talk to the people. What would you say, musically wise? Uh, how do people need to approach their career in it, or anything else you would like to share personally?
I can say, first of all, what's in my heart is that if we as a nation of people, be it black, brown, or whatever color, if we can be more supportive and stop, let me say, being territorial,
Hmm.
blocking each other and hurting each other, and be more supportive like some of the other races, and I think we would get a lot further, especially down here. The Southern soul music, blues, don't get the props as R&B or rap or whatever in other parts of the country.
Yes.
We're the lowest paid.
Yes.
Our pay has not risen. The blues artists that have been out there for a while are just now getting $15,000 and $20,000 after they've been in the business umpteen years.
Right.
That's an unfair concession. Number one. Here in Memphis alone, we don't have the backing from the community or the city, period, to get in and dig in with us. So most of us don't have anything to expand or to expound upon with our talents, because we all huddle against each other. Bill Street, for one, is not paying anybody. You got to do 10 shows in order to split $35 a month. People, that's not fair.
Yeah.
These people are working hard. They have families and things to do, with their personal lives and other expenses. My thing, my heart has always been an advocate for us. And I think until we all start to advocate for each other, be supportive. Don't hate on you because you're doing what you're doing.
Right.
Get with you and find out what you can do to help you. Because if you already have a foundation, find out what you can do to make sure that expands instead of coming in and try to destroy it.
Hmm.
Get with me. I'm a senior citizen. well, let me say not senior citizen, I'll say very refined
There you
citizen
go.
of the
There you go.
world, seasoned.
Yes.
Don't dislike me because I walk in the building. I might have something that you might need.
Yes.
And I might have a story to tell so the doors can open for you.
Yes.
Get with me and hold me up so that I can hold you up.
Right.
Whoever's out there in the forefront, I think we should get in and support them. If they're doing all the right things and doing all the great things according to Christ. Now, I'm not saying you ain't got to kiss nobody behind because I ain't asking you to kiss mine.
Yes.
Support your people. But if the city does not want to do it, you must get in there and dig in and let the city know that we're a viable thing, because I represent the city all over the world. This Memphis thing, when I step on the stage, just because I'm from Memphis, they already received me.
Mhm.
But I need other folks to receive me, and as I receive them, we need to receive each other. Let me just
Right.
say that.
Right.
How about that?
Right.
So I think that the community of musicians, be you rap, gospel, R&B, whatever you are. Country now with Beyonce opening and expounding upon this great thing that she did. Do you know I was offered a contract deal to do some?
So country.
I was too scared
Uh-huh.
because I didn't want them to. I was afraid of the rejection.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s, 60s. Oh no.
Right. Right. Right.
Oh no, I was just too afraid. I was gonna get rocks and beer cans and everything, bombs thrown at me. But we have to get in and stop being so critical of each other and start being supportive.
Yeah.
Let
Acceptable.
us support each other. Find out what I know, what made me work. How did she get in there? How did he get in there? What happened? How can I find their recipe and emulate some of their recipe?
Yes.
How can I get with them and be supportive, not hating? So I think until we get that in our hearts and our heads, we are not going to excel. I think we're going to be dead in the water here, but we must learn how to do it.
I want to thank you for being on this show.
Oh, thank you.
Educating. I think we're going to do a part two. I think there was Miriam. She was posting out. Put her comment up.
Wait a minute. Let me say this about Miriam.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
My girl Miriam, I love you first and foremost, because you took a chance to believe in me. You pushed me in there. You were gonna make sure Mr. Stacy saw me and heard me, or else. But the fact is that her heart is so good, and she wanted to do something. That's what I mean. When you got people like Miriam, yourself,
Yes.
this show, it gives the other foundation or the forum for people like me who are not heard here in the States to be heard and given another foundation to work upon and build upon. See,
Right.
our building is your building.
Yes.
When we can build together.
There you go.
And that's what it's all about. But Miriam, I love you. My sister Tricia, I love you. Stacy, I love you. And all those who believe in this music thing in Memphis, and Toni Green, and even this podcast, I want you to make sure that you keep on just tuning in.
There you have it. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. And
welcome.
like I said, yeah, we definitely gonna do a part
Let's
two.
do it too. Come on.
But I gotta catch you when you come back, though.
Catch me when I come back.
How long will you be gone again?
I'm gonna be gone. I'm going to Rion, France, and I go to Dijon, like the mustard.
Yeah,
Dijon, France, and then I go to Reunion. I come back and then I go to Reunion, which is Madagascar, the island.
Okay.
So I'll be in between. I'll come back and then I'll go back again, and then I've got my actually that's when everything starts to come together. All of the festivals, all of the clubs, all the everything overseas.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do every year. That is but I love my hometown of Memphis.
Yes.
I want to be here, and I want to. When I go over there, I'm supporting you. Please support me and keep me in your prayers as I travel those roads and highways.
Yes. All right then.
Thank
you. Good. Look, again, like I said, thank you for coming on the show. And,
thank you for having
me. And in between time, you're traveling, whatever, we're gonna make part two happen.
Good. Just let me know.
Yeah.
You got me.
Yeah.
Love you, Memphis.
All right. There you have it. Memphis Queen. Toni Green on Spit to the Beat podcast. Thank you so much. Again, I want to appreciate everyone who's tuning in, and definitely don't forget to watch. We are producing live episode each week of Spit to the Beat podcast. So thank you again for tuning in, and God bless you.
Thank you for listening to Spit to the Beat podcast. Want to know how you can help? Be a sponsor by going to our website at www.spittothebeatpodcast.com and click the support tab. You can also join us each and every week live at YouTube at Spit to the Beat. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow. Thank you for your support.
Thank you for watching Spit to the Beat podcast. Join us again for another live episode next week.